gentlemen, we are officially back. And the other interesting thing about communist governments that no one ever talks about is they make far better national anthems than we could ever even accomplish. Like, the Soviet national anthem is probably the most badass thing on the face of the planet. And, you know, that's like the end if you want, like, militarism and just, like, a masculine form of communism. If you want a feminine form of communism, look right over here to East Germany. You know, and it's called Rising from Ruins or something like that, but it's just like it's all nice and happy and cheerful, and it's like a positive form of communism. And obviously, the people that just have it down, bar none, are the North Koreans. It's probably the worst place to live on the planet besides Eritrea, but you can't deny their frickin' propaganda music is world class. But, you know, that's going to be my next Kickstarter campaign once my current one fizzles out, which is going to happen, like, anytime soon. So I do want to organize, I was thinking about going to North Korea, and the main goal is not to, like, sightsee or review the old battles or anything like that. Vice went over there to check out their film studios and stuff. I was thinking about going over there just to get the backstory from the North Koreans themselves of, you know, how did that all start? Because, you know, the guy that not at least people were obviously going with Otto because you had to be an idiot to think it's. Suppose his most famous thing was to rescue Mussolini. Depending who you talk to, he did it all himself. But for the most part, he actually had like a lot of people helping out. And what happened, and unfortunately, he took all the credit. But still, you have to admit he is a badass. We might as well do all Turkey because, I mean, if we're gonna be the land of the people, contribution to counterintelligence, and they're doing quiet intel network, build intel network, good. I want an intel network in Deutschland. Okay. Got you. So let's just if I want to scheme against other people. Which I don't want to. Do want to control trade. Do want to put this flipping. No, for the time being, just stay there and counter intel, please. You know, just walk around like a badass and make people think like how good of a country we are. I just want to make sure, yeah, we're recording. Everything's good. I'm always just paranoid of like not recording it when I'm supposed to be recording it. You know what I mean. And then I'm just sitting here blabbering for sometimes 2, sometimes 3 hours for no reason whatsoever, and that's just kind of weird if that happens. So we have our aircraft ready. Obviously, we got everything ready a lot quicker than a war claim. You would think like the Nazis would not have to wait bull around this long if they wanted to attack someone for no reason. But once again, you know, we're going communist, so in that situation we have to conquer Danzig Ooh, that's a lot. It's going to crank me up to 17% already. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be... So I think after we knock out the Netherlands, like, the only other thing is to find, like, some other loser nation to take over. Because this is the only free one that we're going to really get. And that just makes sense to go down to focus tree to try to do Danzig oder Krieg. You know, while I'll mull things over and figure out exactly maybe if we can get this unholy alliance, which I will. Yes, you know, in that situation, because the goal of this war, goal of this is pretty much like every other one, which is conquer as much land as possible towards the end. Ideally, I'd like to take over the world, but, you know, if we're communists, we can't really, like, fight our communist brothers. Or at least I would not feel comfortable fighting my fellow communist brothers in... More tensions going down by 0.5 per month. Which is actually kind of good because, you know, I want it to go down. I want things to be a little bit calmer. And I just want us overall to have a little bit better of an economy to launch communism from. Because ultimately, you know, Marx didn't even think it was possible to have communism in Russia due to the fact that they were just so damn backwards. But, you know, say Germany circa 1936, you know, if you were in that situation, you know, you might theoretically think that there was a little bit more of an industrial base for the workers to have means of production. Because if you're pretty much just a wasteland, and I said, you know, congratulations, workers of the world, you now officially own the means of production, it doesn't really mean much if there aren't any means of production to secure. You know, it's kind of like the equivalent of going to North Sentinel Island and telling them that they have universal health care, then you just hop on your boat and leave. It doesn't really mean that much because, you know, they don't have any money, and, you know, if you don't have money, you just don't really know that. We don't have any much intelligence on them, and you can't really do, and once in October, maybe I'll be able to raise enough money to get over there. But for the time being, the goal is just to try to... Anyways, I'm just trying to do Kickstarter campaigns to drum up publicity to ultimately go to where I want to go, which is obviously North Sentinel Island. Even though if I do get funded for any other of my projects, I'm obviously going. So, this is being taken care of. We don't really have to worry about oil that much, simply because we're... Where do we get all these things from? Yeah, don't feel like that. Construction speed. We could actually benefit from that. And, you know, we just need to be building some sort of industrial base in the beginning. I'm actually thinking about beginning to rotate some civilian factories into the mix too, just to try to... I'm pretty sure someone has like an exact formula for optimal... Especially because supposedly a lot of people say this game is like less intense compared to Hearts of Iron 3. Which on its source, it kind of does look like that, and, you know, begin to be appreciative of just to the complexities that they actually do offer here. And as long as, ideally they will have an improved order. They'll have an order of battle like Hearts of Iron 3. And once they do that, it'll pretty much be a pretty badass game. Obviously, we need to. Well, the problem, of course, of Refabricate now is that. I don't know how much we'll get. I'm just doing this for like thought processes. Yeah, this is just 5. So smaller nations, it's not as terrible. That'd be kind of neat, though, taking both the Netherlands and Denmark all at once. Even though we could also just swoop right in and take over Belgium. I just don't see any point then in... really, we could have 6% Wallonia. I'm actually thinking a lot of Belgium. Belgium is pretty much split between Francophone people and Wallonians. They basically speak like Dutch or some sort of dialect of Dutch. And for that reason, they hate each other. Even though, to their credit, they actually suffered more lives and severe deaths in World War I than America did. So it's, in that situation, they bore a large brunt of the burden. And because we have tanks now and a lot better aircraft, we should have no problem just running them over, which is sad. And we need to think about a second country, I'm thinking, but... What's this? This is October. Our second claim will be ready in April-ish. Problem is, if we do a second claim, I think it's just going to punch it above 25 once we take all Netherlands and stuff. And I don't want that. So we just need to be incognito and probably get an army theorist, just because we won't be getting much experience from this Netherlands operation. At least I don't expect it's going to happen take that long. And if that's the case, and we're going to be getting some land, we might as well exercise a large number of units. Here we go. Hoogzievloete. Have fun doing your little naval exercises. Hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed clicking your button. Donuts, definitely do exercises, please. Actually, one of the things I wouldn't be interested in reading is a war diary of a unit in peacetime that's just going through their rigmarole. I know the ones in America are a lot very boring, but I'm just assuming the ones in Germany are probably just as bad. So we have some units training. We have some. This is just going to put a huge damper on my fuel, but it makes sense, at least during these peace times. The more I sweat in peace, the less you have to bleed in war. Just want to see how long it's going to take them. These people train. Ideally, I'll try to cap the training around July-ish. So at least that way we have time to get our fuel stocks back up and get ready for the battle. And that's pretty much about it. What I'm thinking about doing is just going over the news again, because that's what I'll usually do when I'm bored. So let's see what's going on in the world today. I try to do a combination of center left and center right, so that way you could try to get some sort of balance. Anybody interested in listening to the untold truth of John Wilkes Booth? Let's see what he's up to. Oh my God, he killed Abraham Lincoln. I never knew that. Booth was not the only person, blah, 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 blah. Basically, it was just... Supposedly, he was a pretty damn good actor. That is what you get from reading that article. And he was. I mean, the interesting thing, too, is that during the war, he, stuck between Union and Confederate lines just because... one night he had to fight, he had to, act in Union territory, and the next night, he acted in the Confederacy. At least I find that kind of interesting. And then, that war, for America, I was reading at Yale course, I was listening to a Yale course on the Civil War, and he was kept, saying his, main thing was, what did the Civil War mean to America? And if I was a Yale student, which I wish I was right now, I'd argue that Americans treat the Civil War how the Europeans treat World War One, which is, it's a horrible tragedy. Which are pretty much, it's just an avoidable tragedy. If the Southerners weren't racist, we'd not have to do all that crap. But once again, the first thing the Southerners did once they got their ability to arrange their own electoral laws, because during the Civil Rights Act they were taken over by the government simply because they didn't trust the Southerners to do fair election campaigns. It was called the Voting Rights Act. It was, they just want former Confederate states to be in control of their own voting laws because it would just be racist. But as soon as they abolished that and trusted them to do their own voting laws, the first thing, of course, they did was Voter ID Act for a crime that doesn't really exist in America. So I actually just find that kind of funny. And obviously they went out of their way, too, to try to prevent felons from voting. And doing this and doing that. Then they claim to be Christians. I'm not saying I'm any better, but... What the hell's this? I guess it's part of the Kriegsmarine. Oh, this is the Osti-Flute. Here they all are. I was wondering what happened to these fellows. Like the Schlesians, Schleswig-Holstein, stuff like that. Funny thing, of course, is I've only been on the ocean once in my life. Yeah, I'm fascinated by ships and stuff. But I don't like watching fish die, so I can't, I would not be interested in a fishing career. But if there was any other job I could get on a boat, I might actually jump on it. I'm not producing tactical bombers. Yeah, 2 of them every month. That's not a lot. We need more everything. So we're just killing time until we could get an army theorist. And that's pretty much it right now. A lot of it is just, in the beginning here, is just the planning aspect. What we're going to do. Here's where he developed strategy, and where the general staff did pretty good. And they just pretty much just went out of their way just to devise the first 2 or 3 weeks of a campaign. And then after that, they thought it was superfluous, which is kind of right, but, it's, you need to be aware that if you're going to invade, a sovereign nation to attack France, there's a good chance that other nations might be upset about that and fight you. They have more infantry equipment, which is good. We need that. Just want to check these things, what we have right now. 470. 250. Can we do something? The answer is yes. We could build a Panzer unit right now, which I want. No, we need 240 light tank. Alright. We have 104 light tank. We have 250 motorized. No, great. Motorized, we need 470. Almost twice that amount. Bloody rotten hell. So what shall we do? Well, plenty of rubber. It's a shame if we don't use it. There we go. I know I'm focusing a little too much on the ground force. But, you know, the Air Force has some planes being drilled out. And that's good. Definitely probably have enough to, you know, deal with the accidents that they have, stuff like that. Well, parallel exercise is not doing a lot. This definitely doing some stuff, simply probably because it needed to after. You know, if you're going to make a whole mod, if you're going to make it a whole DLC based on the Navy, you might as well give them naval experience to play with. I'm going to have you train as well. Everyone's training. And ew. Oh, yes. How come I'm not part of that? You'd think they want to invite Germany to, like, participate in some sort of naval conference. But yeah. You know, these fellows are getting trained pretty well. And things are doing alright so far. We're waiting patiently for, in 3 days we're going to have 2 things done. And that will definitely help us when it comes to war against the pesky Netherlanders. And we're obviously raising enough political power to get an army theorist, because we need to play at least somewhat with our divisions. And this makes sense just to use one for pretty much everything, and I'm just thinking at this point we just focus on some sort of artillery, because that's what we do need. Probably do what we did last time. And just have anti-tank support, obviously, because I'm paranoid about tanks. As I said before, I'm assuming we're going to get bombs, so it makes sense to disperse industry. Here we're pretty much just planning for the future war, which way we're going to do it right now. And I have to go for some sort of research speed. Just, you know, and it's probably going to be a lot of foot infantry, and infantry that's not foot is going to be motorized or mechanized. So pause the recording for a second.